welcome to the final conclusion for the Animorphs Read Along broadcast. Today I'm just going to be sharing my final thoughts, kind of doing a retrospective of the series, and sharing a bunch of inane lists because I love making lists. So I'll start by talking about my favorite character. I am definitely a Marco girl. I love his philosophy, I love his sense of humor, I love how ruthless he is, I love the way he uses humor to both deflect and overcome sort of his personal issues. I friggin' love Marco. But I didn't feel satisfied just like listing a top 5 and a bottom 5, so I've broken him up into sort of little groupings. So my top 5 regular series books. 23, The Pretender. I think this book packs a solid emotional punch. It's a great Tobias book. For number 4, I have 15, The Escape. This book is everything you could want from a Marco book. It's really, really funny. But we also get some really great character moments from Marco, you know, him dealing with his mom. Number 16. So this one kind of took me by surprise. 16, The Warning. Face value, this book sounds kind of dumb. There's Mr. 3's evil twin who's a cannibal. But at least for me this time, this book really represented a turning point in the tone. This was a very dark book, a very grim book. 19, The Departure is absolutely a legendary Animorphs book. And it's sort of like deliciously ambiguous, which is something that I love not just about this book, but about the series as a whole. It's hard to know who did the right thing here and who did the wrong thing, but ultimately what we know is that Cassie took huge risks for the hope of peace and for the hope of something better, and they paid off. And number 22, The Solution. I guess maybe I like dark things and I like angst, and this book is just the pinnacle of character writing for Rachel, and there's so many epic scenes in this book. So coming in at number 5 is 49, The Diversion. The Animorphs revealing their true identities and Tobias finding his mom. Coming in at number 4, another Tobias book, number 33, The Illusion. This book is depressing and torture is horrible. Really enjoyed some of the emotional moments between Tobias and Axe, as well as Tobias and Rachel. Number 31, The Conspiracy. Jake is really well captured. This is a very realistic scenario that I think has been building for a long time, and I just think it's all dealt with really, really well. Number 27, The Exposed is the only, in my opinion, well-written Rachel ghostwritten book. Even though the plot of this book is maybe a little iffy, there's a lot of great character work, a lot of great Rachel Tobias stuff, plus the morphs are super cool. And number 1, 29, The Sickness. What an exciting book, what an adventurous book, such a promising book too. It's unfortunate that sort of the seeds that were planted in this book never really came to much later on, but an excellent book. So number 5 is 24, The Suspicion. I will admit I did not enjoy this book as much as I remembered, but this book is still pretty freaking funny. Number 42, The Journey, another Omicron book. I really enjoyed it. I even thought the Ghostwriter did an okay job with Rachel. I think this is definitely the most lighthearted companion book. It's just adventure piled on top of adventure piled on top of fun. Number 28, The Experiment. This book gets so much hate. Between Axe getting a television and talking about the young and the restless, to monkeys throwing poop on Mr. 3, it definitely succeeded in making me laugh. Number 14, The Unknown, another controversial book, but I absolutely love it. The plot of this book is absurd. There's almost no character development. It lacks any real depth, but it is buckets of fun, and man, is it hilarious. And then finally, I did want to talk about my 5 least favorite books. So number 25, I don't know why, but this book just completely rubbed me the wrong way this time. I thought there was bad pacing, bad writing, bad characterization, and it was a book that I remembered loving. Number 32, The Separation. This is definitely the worst book written by Applegate herself. It's an okay idea, but just really poorly executed, and the legacy of nice Rachel and mean Rachel and the split personality would haunt Rachel books for the rest of the series. Number 40, The Other. I hated this book. The plot was kind of silly, the characterization was bad, it was just poorly written. I don't think I need to explain why 39, The Hidden is on this list. The Buff Human is the greatest atrocity to ever plague the Animorph books. And number 37, The Weakness. My review of this book was basically an incoherent rant, and for that I am sorry. But when you mischaracterize everyone to the point that I'm having to stop and go, wait, what? After every single sentence, you've written a piece of trash. I did also want to briefly touch on the companion books. I have to sort of put them on the spectrum of awesome to more awesome, because the companion books are flawless in my opinion. So these are sort of my least favorite down here, and these are my favorite, with Megamorphs number 3, Cork Chronicles coming in at the bottom, and Megamorphs number 4, Viscera Megamorphs 2 coming in at the top. But really, there's no such thing as a bad companion book. Taking a look at how well I thought the ghostwriters handled writing the characters. So I thought that honestly they did a pretty decent job with Axe and Tobias, and most of the time with Jake. I put Marco in the middle just because I think he was really hit or miss. And then I think really the true victims of the ghostwriters are Cassie and Rachel, who both often became straight up caricatures of themselves. I've also just sort of ranked the characters in terms of overall having the best point of view books and the worst point of view books. I think Tobias has generally the best across the board. Of course, he has an advantage by the fact that he has about half as many books as everyone else. But really, there's not a bad Tobias book, in my opinion. They're all really, really solid. Jake and Cassie are kind of coming in second place, with maybe one or two exceptions. Every Jake book is a good Animorphs book. Cassie made it so high up here just because she really knocks it out of the park when she's used effectively, and even whenever she's used to tell comedic stories like 14 or 24, I don't think those stories turned out that badly. She does have 39, but overall I think Cassie tells some really quality stories. Marco once again has wound up here in the middle. He has some fantastic books like 15 and 20 and 45, but he also has some, kind of mediocre books that weigh him down. Rachel, bless her heart, has wound up down here just because even though she has some great books, she just has a lot of badness. And 32, 37, 42's okay, 48's okay. I mean, even book 12 is one of my least favorite from sort of the first 20. So, yeah, and then Axe I put at the bottom. I just think generally he got the worst books, so I've stuck him down here at the bottom. And then sort of the last thing I've done here, I've clumped the books into these sort of thematic groupings. I don't even know why I did this, because if you really go too deep, these labels are not going to hold up. But I love putting things into categories, so here you go. So book 1 through 5, the theme is finding a reason to fight. Books 6 through 10, we sort of see more fear creeping into the characters and how to deal with that fear. Then books 11 through 18, we see lots of self-doubt. 19 through 23, sort of dealing with personal demons and overcoming them. Then 25 to 29, winning a hopeless fight. 30 to 35, I talked about this in my videos, the breakdown books. Everyone's kind of starting to fall apart. And then 36 through 44, obviously this is kind of the worst chunk of the series, but I do think there's some thematic continuity with maintaining your identity and getting back in touch with who you are. And then books 45 to 51, just kind of a simple things fall apart. And 52 to 54, I would absolutely say the theme is of sacrifice. That was sort of my excessive and overly analytical retrospective of the Animorphs series. Reading the series as a whole, cover to cover, was something I haven't done ever. This was a first, and it was awesome. I've said in many videos that I often credit these books with playing a key role in my development as a kid, and I still feel that way. Cassie, Jake, Rachel, Marco, Tobias, and Axe, they were my heroes. I will say there were some ways that this series let me down this time. There are gaping plot holes, and there are dozens of loose ends that we never get to see tied up, and that's dissatisfying. There are also character arcs that don't unfold as neatly as I remembered, and especially at the end, things just started to get a little bit sloppy. However, for the authors to take this admittedly formulaic method of storytelling, turn it into something with so much depth, so much darkness, fleshed out characters, and such magnificent world building is truly a feat. Animorphs isn't perfect, it was definitely a product of its time, but for my part, I still think Animorphs is pretty damn good. So yeah, that is all I have to say about Animorphs. Forever and amen. This is my last video. If you want to geek out with me about Animorphs, leave a comment or find me on Tumblr, and thanks for watching.